Masters and guests. Today I'm going to talk about Mark Twain, famous American writer and lecturer. And I'm going to tell his story in sort of three parts, fairly quickly here. First part will be his youth, when he was quite biddable. Second part will be his writing career. And the third part will be when he got older and he mainly operated on the lecture circuit, the humorous circuit. Now, as a youth, he was born in Hannibal, Missouri, right along the west side of the Mississippi River. He grew up there as he was one of 6 of 7 children. Only 3 lived to adulthood, full adulthood. And his father was an attorney who died early. His older brother owned a newspaper. And when he left school, he went to work for his older brother, the newspaper, occasionally write some articles. He went west when he was about 18 to try to find silver and gold in the mountains of California, the Comstock Lode, some of you probably heard of. He was unsuccessful. He came back. He was a little fellow around, he was about 20, 25 during this period. And he got into a little contest that he had with a friend of his where they each had a frog. And you put the frog down, you give him a little poke, and the first one to make it across the 20 feet of the race would win, and they bet some money on this. It was pitiful. So he lost the race. His frog, who had been a winner, lost the race. It was just chugging along while the other frog made it to the finish line over here. And later on, the other guy admitted to him, Steve, the other guy's name was, that he had salted Mark Twain's frog with a few lead pellets that he let him use. So he wrote a story. Later, he wrote a story about this. He thought this was a very interesting event. He wrote a long story, and he sent it off to a newspaper in New York. Reminds me of Betty's story. And nothing happened. And then the Civil War came. He went out to Nevada, so he didn't want to serve on either side particularly. He went out to Nevada where his brother had gone. And when he came back, at the end of the Civil War, somebody from the newspaper had come all the way out to Hannibal to find the person who'd written this story. But they were unable to find him because he was out in Nevada, so then they came back after the war was over, and they found him. The paper published the story, and it was loved by people all around the world. People read it in the New York paper, and then it got reprinted, and a fellow came out from New York and signed up Twain to write some stories and do some humorous lecture tours. Twain started to write, and he wrote stories about children to start with. His favorite person was Tom Sawyer. He wrote a book called The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I think that was the name of it. And they had a whole little family of people around Tom Sawyer. And one of them was a young man named Huckleberry Finn, who lived in the town of Hannibal under another name, but it was, and Huckleberry Finn became famous the world over. He was famous because he lived his life free. He did what he wanted. He didn't really have parents. He just lived as a little fellow in the town growing up. But he did what he wanted. He made his life into what he wanted, and frequently what he wanted wasn't legal or socially acceptable or any of a number of things. And eventually he got a raft, and he helped a slave who was working for Tom, who was owned by Tom Sawyer's aunt, and he and the Jim floated down the Mississippi River, and Tom Sawyer was helping him, you know, escape from being a slave. The beauty of Huckleberry Finn was he valued freedom, and Americans and people the world over, they loved this. Now you could say, in a sense, it goes into this century. Do you want a free life, or do you want a life where somebody tells you what to do? Communism, they tell you what to do. Democracy, you have to pretty much make it up as you go along. And so a lot of the appeal of Huckleberry Finn was to allow us to live the sort of life we live today, where you make your own decisions. Wrote a series of books, and then when he was in the latter part of his life, he was full of giving talks and lectures and humorous events, and he had a couple of quotes that I just wanted to leave you with. A man is most truthful when he admits that he's a liar. And many of you have said that about me. So. And finally, the secret of life is not humor, but sorrow. There is nothing funny about heaven. I think on that note.